My name is Peg Hunter, and I'm a member of the board here at QUUF. Welcome into this day with Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a liberal religious congregation founded in 1976 and bound together to serve religious freedom, caring community, and social justice. As we gather, I acknowledge that the water, land, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the S'Klallam and Chemakum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our Indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain their homelands. If you're visiting today, I offer a special welcome and invite you to join us for refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall, which is out that door and to your right, after the service. We have a newcomers table near the patio doors where our greeters are ready to answer any questions you might have. So may the welcome we offer you be in equal measure to the one in our hearts. We pause to briefly do some essential business of our congregation, and we ask that speakers be aware of time constraints on our service and family ministries program. That would be not yet. Just a reminder that this afternoon after the service from 1 o'clock to 2:30, Reverend Don Rollins is presenting the second in a series on Zoom called Congregations 101. And the focus on this one will be on the difference between technical and adaptive ministry. And he's going to touch on that a little bit in his sermon, but there'll be more information on that. To Zoom in. So Zoom in at 1 o'clock. You have time to go home, have lunch, and then Zoom in from the comfort of your home. A quick reminder, Dances of Universal Peace at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And now I invite Mary up for an important auction announcement.
And lights, camera, auction. This is our premier fundraiser of the year, the big blockbuster event everyone's talking about. Everyone has something to donate. The countdown is on. Just 1 week left to get your name in the credits. Donation forms in the foyer. Grab one after the service. Grab one after the service, and you'll be a star. Need inspiration?
Baked goods, dinner parties, walk on the beach, homemade jam, candy beer, bicycles, gift certificates, fun experiences.
And there will be many more award-winning ideas listed in this week's update. Check it out. And what's your cinematic preference? Or what's your movie vibe? Mamma Mia? Drama? Downton Abbey? Classics? The Wizard of Oz? Whatever your style, this is one night only premiere. And you're the star of the show. Let's make this year's auction a box office hit. Thank you.
I wondered if that was my job to pick up all the paper on the floor. Take a breath and let us settle our minds and calm our hearts.
Take two. Okay, that doesn't work. We light today's chalice with these words from Reverend Angela Herrera, Senior Minister at First Unitarian Church, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger at the door. It has high standards. Bring them with you, and your joy and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your power to heal. There is work to do, and you have all you need to do it right here in this room. Rise in body and spirit, and please join us for the opening hymn. Come sing a song with me.
I'm going to sing the first verse. In case you don't know this song, I'm going to sing the first verse, and then we'll sing it all together again, okay?
Hi. The story that I'd like to tell you today is about Halloween from my childhood. I've always loved Halloween. It's one of my favorite times of year. And especially when I was little. I mean, come on, all that candy. But there were a couple of things that made it really special for me. And one of those was my mom's Rice Krispie treats. We didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, but, I never really thought of us as poor. We had food on the table and a roof over our heads, and and plenty of love to go around. Well, instead of going to the store and buying a bunch of candy to give out, every year my mom would make a big batch of Rice Krispie treats. And she would cut them up into squares and wrap them all up. And that's what she would hand out. And I loved those Rice Krispie treats because that was the only time of year that she ever made them. The other thing I loved about Halloween was being a ghost. From, as far back as I can remember, I was always a ghost. And there was one sheet that I always wore. My mom had cut the eyes out of it. Oh gosh, probably for my older sister, Winnie. And it got passed down to me. And I loved that sheet because to me, that was Halloween. So I would go out with all my friends and we would go trick-or-treating in the neighborhood because that's what you did back then. Well, there was one year when a new neighbor moved in and they had a daughter who was a little older than me. And Halloween came around and we all got together in the neighborhood and we started trick-or-treating. And we got to my house and Mom said hi to everybody and gave out the Rice Krispie treats. Well, the new girl looked at that and she kind of looked at me. She looked at my mom. She didn't say much. And then we were going along through the neighborhood and she said, "Why does your mom make something instead of buying it at the store?" In kind of a condescending way. And you know, I'd never really thought about that. To me, it wasn't Halloween unless the smell of Rice Krispie treats filled the house. But I felt kind of bad after that because I started noticing every other house had wrapped candy that somebody had bought from the store. So I went home and I sat down at the kitchen table and I was looking through my candy and I was kind of quiet. And my mom asked me what was wrong. And I said, why don't we buy candy from the store like everybody else? And my mom sat down beside me. And she said, "Do you want me to stop making the Rice Krispie treats?" And she was honestly asking. And I thought about that and I thought, oh my goodness. Well, no, I don't want you to stop making Rice Krispie treats. That was Halloween. And she just nodded. And then I understood that you don't have to be like everybody else. In fact, sometimes it's really good not to be like everybody else. So I very proudly helped my mom hand out Rice Krispie treats when I got older. And I wore that ghost sheet for years instead of buying a store-bought costume. Because to me, that was Halloween. That was family. And it's okay that it wasn't like everybody else. In fact, it was even better. So, if you're feeling ever like you're being pressured into being somebody you're not, just remember, it's okay not to be like everybody else. You be you. And have a happy Halloween.
Please form an arch in the center aisle and let us sing out our children out to their classes.
Everywhere,
a time of generosity and to receive an offering to support the life and ministry of QUUF. The ushers will come along to receive the offering, and additional ways of giving will be projected. Please join us in the offering words. Fellowship is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it.
Song about flowers. Daffodil on a hill, singing her song. Tulips are singing the refrain. They say, have no fear, buds are here, spring's on its way. Laughing and singing in the rain. There are flowers, oh, flowers, oh. Edelweiss, very nice, on high mountain slope. White star-like flowers give us hope. I'll be true to you in shades of blue. Forget-me-not, patches of flowers on high mountain slope. They are friend-to-bees, here to please, sweetheart and friend, and honor those who passed away. On Mother's Day, a big bouquet of iris peonies. Love and devotion, well, that's what they say. Love those flowers, love flowers, whoa.
This is a time set aside to share joys and sorrows. We recognize that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows in our larger community. Thus, we place this first stone, thinking in particular of the joy and resistance shared at the No Kings rally yesterday. And now within the congregation. Rosanna and Sadi share that their niece, Shiva, who lives in Toronto, Canada, died Tuesday, October 7th, of brain cancer. Please lift their families in prayer for the loss of this young woman. We place a final stone holding in our hearts all those joys and sorrows that go unspoken. Know that we care, however this day finds you.
Hello, everyone, and good morning out there in Port Townsend. My name is Don Rollins. If we haven't met, I serve as the accredited interim minister to the fine congregation. I use traditional male pronouns. And for those of you who have limited sighting, I am an almost 70-year-old, almost bald white man, and wearing a black sweater. Folks, life can be busy, and it can be a trap. So what we'd like to do this morning is offer peace and quiet to folks who may not have had it all week. This may be the only time, the first time this week, you've had a chance just to say enough and come to ground. And so we offer you that opportunity this morning. This is our quiet time. I ask you to begin by closing your eyes if that's comfortable. If it's not, maybe just find a place that you can focus on. Bring yourself again to this place. I want you to feel that air as it flows in and out. As we're able, take 3 breaths with me. Let's enter a time of meditation together. The title here is In Betweenness. Comes to us from Unitarian Universalist minister Michelle LaGrave. Take 5 more seconds with me before we begin. We, you and I, we are in right between now. In between what was, what will be, in between who we were and who we are becoming. We're in between letting go and embracing, in between saying hello and saying goodbye. In betweenness, it's a thing. In betweenness is a time of fullness. It's a time of anticipation, a time of hope, a time of worry, a time of sadness. In between is also a time of waiting, waiting for news, waiting for departure, waiting for arrival, waiting for death, waiting for life. In betweenness is a time of transformation. It's a time for reflection, time of action, time of growing, and a time of becoming. So during this time of in-betweenness, of knowing and not knowing, let us embrace this silence. And so I say amen and blessed be.
Here's a song about time and the wonders of nature. Spring sings a happy song again in the wind. New flowers sing along. They say, hey, what a beautiful day to unfurl to a world once so cold and gray. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. I've seen a daffodil sing her anthem to spring in gold, in gold. Bumblebee flies free through the lazy hours. With all his heart he takes part in the art of the flowers. The robins are bobbing the cool of the shade. By the squirm of a worm breakfast is made. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. Warm summer days soon appear, bringing warm sun rays so near, as it has through the years since time untold. Ah, the wind is the friend of the earthly pleasure, fall the recall of all the green treasure. The people rake and sigh, wondering why the seasons have no reasons, oh, they come to just die. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. Time takes the gifts that were made, puts them into colors on parade. It's a tribute that's paid to the old. Now the winter is the center of attraction and worry. Snow and ice isn't nice, it bites, makes people scurry to hide inside by the warmth of the fire. Their woe is the snow, they freeze and quickly tire. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. Icicles cast colored light, snowflakes dance in delight, to a world enveloped in white and cold, and cold. Spring sings a happy song again in the wind. New flowers sing along. They say, hey, it's a beautiful day to unfurl to a world once so cold and gray. I've seen the wonders of the seasons unfold. I've seen a daffodil sing her anthem to spring in gold, in gold. Thank you.
Hi again, folks. Sorry for the glitch. Thanks for the music, George. Live is different, but I'm so much, just so glad we can do this live. Just a note for those of you who are visiting for the first time, if this is your first time with Quimper, online or in the sanctuary, thanks for checking them out. For those who are here in person and would like to know more about QUUF or our denomination, there are some good folks waiting to talk with you after the service. Not long into a new interim ministry, I set aside a Sunday to talk about my work, reflect back, and to let you know what I'm seeing with the congregation. It's basically a check-in for those I don't see in the usual course of my rounds. So in this case, my virtual interim rounds. This is going to come in two parts. One is a get to know me, some background to give you some more information that other than I'm tall and exist outside a cardboard cutout that is hilarious, but probably a little creepy to first timers. And then part two is a summary of what I'm experiencing as your ministry partner. Part one. Mary and I once again live in southeastern Ohio, one county away from Kentucky to the west, one county from West Virginia to the east. I was born and adopted in a house less than a mile from where I sit. The story as I received it was the collie dog ran away the day my parents brought me home. She was never heard from again. I have a loving, patient older sister. We were raised working class. My dad was a unionized electrician, spending over 30 years of his life climbing 50-foot poles. Then my mom worked at home until I started school, and then she took a job overseeing a library at an elementary school. For years, I spent Saturday mornings on a bar stool with my dad and Sundays in a church pew with my mom. I listened to the jukebox and the choir until I heard Hendrix and Santana. I held on to George Jones and Amazing Grace, but not quite as tightly. I barely squeaked through the public schools, but at least picked up drums and guitar and harmonica along the way. Got to play a lot of basketball. After graduating from high school with a stellar 1.86 grade point average, I was somehow accepted by two different evangelical colleges. My then wife and I married young and took a position as a student pastor in that tradition. But maybe this will ring true for you. At some point, the questions, they outnumbered the answers. And I left that life at 22, but now I was without any structure. So for over 2 years of my life, I was playing in cringeworthy bar bands, eating downers and chasing them with whiskey. It was a rough time. I got cleaned up in 1980, began addressing the depression, went into therapy. I'd survived whiskey, but I hadn't dealt with prolonged sexual molestation starting at age 13. That was rough too. That was also the year when I found my biological mother and my grandmother and my brother. They lived just 12 miles away. I knew my brother when we were in high school, 6 years before we connected as blood kin. All are gone now, but not the gift of finding my roots. It still amazes, but I was once again accepted into college, this time to the University of Rio Grande, and by the way, that is the correct pronunciation in Welsh. I earned a degree in social studies education, travels to California, then Maine, and then back to Ohio to attend the Methodist Theological School in Ohio, which tells you everything you need to know about that seminary, where it is, who they belong to, and what they do. And while I was there, it was a great experience. And I earned graduate degrees in religious education and substance misuse counseling. Rewind a bit. I found Unitarian Universalism during seminary. I was ordained into our Ministry of Religious Education in 1987, and then parish ministry in 1992. I retired in 2022 and 2024, and then you happened. I still identify as a religious humanist, but there's this growing concept of God that is more about connection than theology. And somehow that's working for me. I'm in process. In 2008, I became a contributor to the Progressive Populist. That's an independent online and print newspaper. I began at $50 per column. I now make $50 per column. But I am so proud to be even a small part of a news outlet still uncowed by this administration, the progressive populists. Looking back on this stuff, and starting from a mobile home on a back road, I have served in every major region of the States and 3 Canadian provinces. The money has never been great, but that was never the point. Ours, yours and mine, is my, for sure, last interim gig. It's my 10th, by the way. But what a blessing to go out with such a good and resilient UU congregation. And my life with Mary Bracey, your storyteller today. We've been an item, look that up, whippersnappers. We've been an item for almost 13 years. She is the mom of 4 kids, caretaker for 2 young children, obviously a great storyteller, a singer, and a friend, and also very loving and very patient. So there you have it, my decidedly mild, vaguely interesting life. I'm a lucky guy with a lucky story. Part 2. Some years ago now, after accepting, signing, and returning an interim ministry contract with a fairly formal congregation in the Northeast, I began trying to reach the church's board president. Let's say hello, talk a little about ourselves and how he'd like to work together. But no response to my calls or my texts or my emails. I reached out to the church administrator, asking to let the president know I've been trying to get in contact, and still nothing. Until the afternoon, he needed to come by the church to pick something up. Would he mind stepping into the office for a few minutes? Something to drink, water. After what I can only call a groan, he followed me in. I got things moving, still almost nothing back. So I asked, what's up? A pause, and then he spoke. You don't wear a robe, do you? Not anymore. Why do you ask? Or even a stole? Not for many years. And you wear jeans to preach? Sometimes, yes. Well, you look like a preacher, but you don't look like a preacher. Ouch. I'm not sure what happened next. Nothing nasty, as I recall, but the president and I never did catch on, and it wasn't the first time he complained about no robe and no stole. The vice president let me know the president had voiced that complaint to her, and she responded in dry New England tone, yes, we'd like our ministers to wear pants, but we don't have to tell them what kind. And that's straight up true, by the way. You look like a preacher, but you don't look like a preacher. Now, on the scale of rough stuff interim ministers encounter, that one barely registers on the surface of things. But while it's rarely about the clothes we wear, it does go to the notion we're not real ministers. So let's do this time together in 2 parts. Second part. Let me fill you in on the basics, the high and not so high points of what's going on, how I see it, what I think is happening no matter what. A little bit of adjustment here, folks, stay with me. Okay, here we go. Checking in is often described as offering you a mirror image. The mirror image in your case is pretty darn good. And then let's talk about some challenges. So I approach this second part with care and compassion, for I experienced QUUF as a strong congregation with some hard history and some hard challenges. And friends, just mentioning some of that history and talking about some of those challenges can raise some anxiety. And I say to you, that's okay. That's to be expected. Welcome to interim work. But first, let me tell you what I hope is just as obvious to you as it is to me. And this is big. You know how to laugh. It's an odd place to start. But without that lightness of spirit, you would not be you. You would not be much fun. Laughter hasn't always come easily to you, and more about that later. But let me say this, laughter is making a fine comeback. Keep being silly. Sometimes you get even goofy, because life is really short, and laughter really is good medicine. Keep laughing. I've said it often, but let me say this again. Your leaders are some of the best I've come across in all these years. There are times when I'm in the middle of the discussion and I go into, oh my God, I'm going to have to make a case for this really good practice. And then I don't, because your leaders are way ahead of me. I'm learning that my scars are real. I've been around a long time, but they're not wounds. More on that later too. Your kids and your youth matter. Like your grandkids, I hope. You may not see them as much as you like, but you can trust they're being taken good care of. They matter. You know how to sing when the tune is familiar. Thank you, Doug, by the way. You let it fly. And when you don't know it, you give it a shot anyway. You like to sing. Justice work happens with your congregation. And think about this. Some lives get changed because of you, because of those who lead you in that important work. Somebody's life could be better at the end of the day. You care about the environment too, trying to make it a little bit safer today than yesterday, because you notice and you care. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The 5 members of your staff are good. They're good at what they do. They are together. I suggest to you sometimes they are too good because they're willing to step into some very wide gaps, and it gets taken for granted as if that's the way it's supposed to be. Your staff are overworking, and they are good. Next up, you are building a new identity as you go along. Say it again, you are building a new identity as you go along. Friends, dying congregations don't do that, and I can tell you that firsthand. And that's because they lack some kind of vision, or at least they're on the road to some kind of vision. They're afraid to fail. They're afraid to be something they don't yet understand. This is not you. You're building this thing as you fly it. I want you to be proud of that, and more about that later too. Now, remember, you pay me in part to report back to you with the not so easy stuff. I say ahead of time, you can do this stuff. Let's start with governance, that I hear a moan and a yawn. Governance, at its essence, let me try to break this down. Governance is about how to manage a congregation's resources, their time and their money and their space and their skills and their relationships, their staff. It's about how to focus all that, and then who will decide how to do all that. It's a very simple concept. It gets complex right quick. Starting about 7 years ago now, dedicated, resolute QUUF leadership set the congregation on the path of shared ministry. And that's shorthand for a way to shift the day-to-day responsibilities to the minister, leaving room for the board to focus on the bigger issues affecting your present and your future. They do that because if they don't, nobody else will. So free the board, that's the goal. In that model, the minister, head of staff, is given wide responsibilities and wide powers. And trust me, that's not always a party. but it's still a good way to do church at your size. My work so far is to encourage an auditing of governance at QUUF. I've tried to put that in motion. I think it's going to happen, an auditing of your current structure. The goal is to streamline wherever possible. The shared ministry model was adopted for a larger QUUF congregation, and the model itself is always evolving. So, as is always the case, some folks are unsure how things are going to get done in that evolving model. And let's be truthful here, some folks just don't care. But what I can tell you is it really does matter, and it's normal to tweak governance during an interim period. You can do this. Money. Rare is the congregation without at least some degree of money anxiety. And while there's some differences of opinion about QUF's actual financial status and future, there is no reason for concern, even though there's reason for concern. I explain. Money or lack thereof can cause friction. You've probably lived through it and may again. It can also cause unity. For once there's a sense of what we can do and what we'll do at the other side, there is unity. Focus. Know that your finance stewardship, fundraising experts, their staff, and I were on it. There is urgency, but not panic. Details are to come. I leave it to those closer to the realities to provide those for you and keep you in the loop. But for now, be assured the right people are doing the right things on your behalf. You can do this. Conflict and leaving. A major part of casing a congregation before applying for their position involves knowing their past, including internal conflicts, resolved and un. Ministers want to know ahead of time if there are wounds or if there are scars. Who am I telling? QUUF has not gotten a pass on congregational conflict. I began gathering information the day your hiring committee showed interest in my ministry, and I was more sad than scared to learn the fellowship had experienced a full, tumultuous schism. And to be up front, it would give any minister pause, and it did give me pause. Because at issue was whether to continue with the long overdue course correction begun by our Unitarian Universalist Association. Would you join in a time of self-reflection, challenging the white supremacy norms we for decades had located outside, not inside our denomination and our congregations? Would you move to a value-based way of living and sharing our liberal faith? Would you navigate the generational shifts of denomination aging in place and in need of new energy and new vision? It's painful to even talk about it, y'all. As these and other searing questions surfaced in local Unitarian Universalist congregations, they shook the foundations of your fellowship. Covenants were strained, sometimes broken. Discussions became heated. There were words and actions that could not be taken back. In the end, some of your congregation left to found a community of their own, Unitarian Universalists of Sailor Sea. And since those difficult days, and with help from your UUA regional staff and developmental minister Linda Hart, some deep reflecting and healing was begun. Opportunities to process the pain and the anger and the grief were made available. That depth of suffering does not often end with talking circles, but it can lead the way to a new phase for community itself. Friends, I've kept on listening, kept on asking too. Having received some restorative training and doing that work elsewhere, my best truth is that a new phase was begun before I got here. While there are hearts and personal relationships that may never mend, congregational recovery and personal recovery don't always align. And sometimes wounds really can turn into scars. So decisions were made to continue with or leave the fold of our association. Some good work has been done in the aftermath, but the pain and the anger and the grief, as I said, they do not always operate on a schedule. There is some concrete conversation about offering adult groups more grief in general terms, and I'll be encouraging that as it develops. Know that as we go along, you have my heart, you have my interest, you have my ear, but as best I can tell, we need to move on. That's heavy. 2 things guaranteed to help as you find your way into this new identity. I sometimes get asked what vital on-fire congregations do to get that way. I love when you ask that question, by the way. You might as well set away half an hour of your life to hear my response. I love that question. What do they do? What do they know we don't? First, and borrowing from some of what we'll talk about at Town Hall this afternoon, a brazen plug for joining us online. Those on-fire faith communities, they learn to tell the difference between technical challenges, stuff that can be measured or predicted, from adaptive challenges, stuff we desperately need to find out, but they're too big. It's too big to be measured and predicted. It's stuff you got to live into. Homely example. It's like the plumber you keep calling back to empty the sink trap. It might be time for a change. Maybe stop putting watermelon rinds down the garbage disposal. Calling the plumber is technical thinking. Going forward, putting the rinds in the compost is adaptive thinking. Amazing, you just paid for that. As I'll say today, nothing stunts congregational vitality like using technical thinking for adaptive challenges. Calling the plumber instead of grabbing the rinds and going somewhere else. Second thing I come back with when asked about congregational growth, vitality, make at least half of what you do about that first-time visitor. Hear me again, make half of what you do about the first-time visitor. Whether they come to you for a weeknight program, go looking for you online, or are barely making it through their day, they interrupted their usual routines to come check you out. They might have gone elsewhere, friends, but they didn't. They came to you, and they're in your living room. Robust congregations, they align their budgets, their worship, their religious education programming, their justice organizing, their pastoral care, their staffing, and adult learning opportunities. Shout out to also the folks who coordinate that ministry. The on-fire congregations are serious about this, y'all. The culture is this: we have already found it. Let's move beyond and meet those wanderers with our willingness to change in order to meet them where and how they are. So that's it, everybody. You've made it through check-in number 1. You're a strong congregation, eager to be even stronger, and Mary and I are glad we came your way. So, amen. Hope to see you later today. And by the way, I am wearing jeans right now. I am wearing sandals right now. I don't look like a preacher, and I'm pretty good with that. Hope to see you later.
So our closing song is This Little Light of Mine. We're going to do the... Nope, we're up. Okay. I'm going to sing the first verse through once, and just in case you don't know it, and then we'll all sing it together. Okay.
with this.
Yeah. Ooh. Nope. One. Okay. That's even worse. Okay. We are the people of the glass half full, but it's not easy. We are the people of the uncloudy day, but it's not easy. We are the people of the path not taken, but it's not easy. As you make ready for the week ahead, recall these moments. Draw strength in knowing you're part of a people set on keeping on. Stay strong, stay loving, even when it's not even easy.
Please join us in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please now be seated for the Postlude, Stop Sign Blues by Don Rollins.